Hi, folks. Daniel Webster here, back at the dining table, trying to tell another story. Dining table's the place where I learned to listen to stories and tell stories with my family, and it seems like a good place to do them during this time of self isolation and quarantine, if you will. So here we are, trying again. I mentioned in the first story I shared that once in a while I'm able to say one of those things. It kind of comes to me in the right moment instead of hours later. And I thought I would share with you one of those stories. I have several of those, but here's one. When Nell and I lived in Mississippi, we sort of inherited a rescue dog. This poor dog was abused and neglected and was just in horrible shape when my neighbor took him away from the family that was not taking care of him and offered him to us. He had already removed 100 ticks. We removed at least that many more, washed this dog up, kept it beautiful, and it turned out to adopt us just like we adopted her. Honey was a gorgeous dog, long-haired, beautiful face, and that dog became extremely protective of us. Somebody rang the doorbell, she was on fire. Garbage man came. She was running across the backyard from one side of the yard to the other, behind a fence, thank goodness, to chase the mailman and to let all the other dogs in the neighborhood know that there was somebody coming to their house too. This was just a great, loving dog, and we thought it was wonderful. Made the transition beautifully when we moved from Mississippi to Chicagoland. It was just a wonderful, wonderful dog. Walked it every night. That dog helped me write so many sermons late on Saturday night. It was just a great, great dog. One day we noticed that the dog seemed to be in some sort of pain. It kind of kept tilting its head and scratching at its ear, and so I called our vet and brought her in for a checkup, and he checked her all over, and then he looked down the dog's ear canal, and then he showed me. He said, "You need to look down here to see what I'm seeing." And down well into the ear canal was just this awful growth. It almost looked like a spider in there with legs going all sorts of places. It looked like it was entering the ear canal in 8 or 10 or 12 places. It was just this awful blackish looking thing. And he said, I'm going to have to surgically remove that. And he said, so let's set a date when we do surgeries here at the veterinarian's office and bring your dog back. And he said, I'm just sorry. I've never seen anything quite like that. And so a few days later, at the appointed time, we brought the dog in. Honey went in, and he said, I will call you when it's done, and you can come back after recovery, and she can go home with you tonight. And so we dropped the dog off, and we went home, and we waited by the phone, hoping and hoping and hoping that the surgery would go well and Honey would be fine and back to her good old self. Well, the call came mid-afternoon that the surgery was over and we could come back. But it sort of seemed like something kind of cryptic was going on when they called us. They weren't giving us any details whatsoever. So we went back, and the doctor brought us back into his office. He said, before I bring Honey out, I need to talk to you about a couple of things. He said to me, do you remember seeing the growth? We both saw the growth. He said, yes. He said, well, I need to tell you something. He said, I probably shouldn't have done things this way this morning, but I knew the growth was there. And he said, so we gave Honey general anesthetic and put her down. And he said, and I went and looked down that ear canal, and nothing was there. He said, I thought maybe I'd written it wrong. Where it was the right ear, I should have written left, and I rolled Honey over, and I looked down that ear canal, and he said, and nothing was there. I said, well, I'm going to take that as good news. And he said, well, I certainly hope so. He said, I didn't know what else to do, but I'd already put her under, so I cleaned her teeth. I laughed and I said, well, that's fine. Thank you very much. He said, I'm not charging you for any of this. He said, I'm just embarrassed that I forgot to look again before I gave your dog anesthetic. He said, but I can't find anything wrong with Honey at all. Well, I had been taking Honey to obedience classes off and on for some time, and one of the things we learned sit, we learned stay, we learned come, but one of the other things that we had learned was to call out a command and have your dog return and sit or walk beside your left leg. And so I said to the doctor, Doc, I think I know what happened. I said, we were at obedience class the other night, and I told Honey to heel. She didn't do what I expected. But now I think she just misunderstood. He laughed. I had told Honey to heel. I meant for her to come and walk beside me by my left leg. She thought I meant heel. And so she did.